Good morning, crew and Nikki. It's Saturday, August 25th. Nikki, I just watched your video. I hadn't had time to watch it until today. And I don't know, you're probably already on the road, probably already in Hawaii. Yes, we were on Cape Cod. I'm curious though, if I had just played the beeper noise, the ding, the chime with the car, I wonder if you guys would have gotten that versus actually singing the beginning at the end. Because my singing voice is so incredible that how could you not divine the song when I sing like that? So I should have known it would be too easy for you. Yeah, so let me see. Nikki, you talked about, oh, congratulations to your daughter getting her braces off. That's very cool. Also, I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother. You know, it's amazing, you know, when you say that the previous generation didn't have to go through this, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not true. It would be interesting to look and see. I mean, my mom had to go through this with her parents back, well, over 20 years ago now. My grandmother and grandfather were both 93, and my grandfather had dementia. I think in the 2 years he lived in Tumwater, I don't think he actually called me by my name more than one time. He didn't know who I was most of the time. My grandmother was in much better shape, but as soon as my grandfather died, she pretty much shut herself down and stopped functioning. And in a similar way, you know, we kind of had to go through that with Sarah's dad, because after he had his first cancer surgery, he was not good mentally. He was not there 100%, and we weren't actually prepared for that. That was the hardest part of that, was that, you know, he was somewhat obsessive compulsive anyway. But when you know, he came home from the hospital, and they should never have released him. He was in horrible shape. You know, he just had this 25-pound tumor removed from his abdomen. And he was barely functioning, and he was underweight because he'd gone through a month of radiation therapy. He weighed 115 pounds, and you know, he came home, and the first thing he did was he wanted to get out of bed and check the thermostat settings in the house, because he didn't believe us that they were set correctly, and he would just obsess about things, and he'd be lying in bed, and he couldn't sleep. And we took turns sitting up every night with him, Sarah and her mom and I, for 3 nights, and then the fourth night, we actually had to call 911 because his breathing was so bad, and they checked him into ICU, and he almost died. But you know, it felt to me like, you know, so much of what was going on was that he was unable to detach himself from what was going on around him. And I know it's not fair to judge somebody when they're in that state, but I guess I'm not judging him. I'm just, you know, there was something mentally wrong where he couldn't just relax. He was just like keyed up and stressed out, and he couldn't just, you know, he needed to lie in bed and relax and recover, and his brain just kept going, and he kept, you know, wanting to do stuff. And he never actually, you know, when he was in the hospital afterwards, he would, you know, he was convinced that the wing of the hospital had been built with money he'd donated, and that it was his, and there was writing on the ceiling and all this stuff. And like I said, it was weird because, you know, we came thinking that we were going to be taking care of this man who was physically ill, not realizing that he was going to be not the same, mentally the same person we'd been dealing with all these years, you know, same smart, competent person. So it was really hard. And so I'm sorry you're having to deal with that. I know, you know, there's a feeling of not being able to do anything. So I actually wrote a couple songs about Dad during that time. But anyway, maybe I'll play them sometime. I'm sorry you're going through that. And I hope, you know, I hope that she's comfortable and not too distraught, and she'll be okay, you know. And okay, you know, at this point, really, there's kind of, I mean, maybe she'll come back, but it's just, I don't know. I don't mean to be pessimistic, but hope she's okay. Anyway, enough of that. Kind of along the same lines, you know, we did this ceremony for Sarah's dad, where we disposed of his ashes in the manner in which he had requested, which was to put them into an incoming tide at Minot, and we actually weren't able to dump them exactly where he wanted us to. Initially, my mom actually, this is so great, Sarah's mom actually saved some out, and then we went down at night when nobody was looking and poured them off the dock, where they didn't want us dumping them before. So, don't tell anyone. Now it's on the internet, everyone's going to know. So, let's see, what else do we got here? Two Escobars. Sounds cool. I was aware of that story, of that everything you told me. I wasn't aware that ESPN had done a documentary on it, and it would have been, I'm sure it'd be really interesting to watch, but I knew about Pablo Escobar, and I knew about the guy on the Colombian national team who scored an own goal against the U.S., which is what allowed the U.S. to go through out of their group, and actually eliminated Colombia from the competition. When Colombia, before the World Cup, was seen as one of the dark horse candidates to win the whole thing, but that was just brutal. That was really sad that you know, that he was. That the young man who scored the own goal made the mistake, ended up paying for it with his life. Let's see, anything else here? Your daughter's braces, congratulations. I hope you have a good time in Hawaii as well. That's everything on my list. See, I'm done leaning forward and looking at the list, so you don't see the top of my head anymore. One quick thing that I'm doing here, actually, I'm going to put some links in the bottom. I don't know if you... Crew's friend Lisa has posted videos of him doing more water ski jumps, so I'll put a link to that. The other thing is that I recently upgraded my recording software, and I bought this nice piece of equipment. The hardware that I had before, I was never able to reload the software after my crash, and it has to do with all kinds of problems, but eventually I just decided it was time to buy a new piece of hardware. So this is it. This is, I don't even remember what it's called. It's an M-Audio 600 something or other. Oh, probably says right there. M-Audio Fast Track C600. See? I knew exactly what I was talking about. So I set it up yesterday after getting home, and I'm going to probably do some recording and see how it sounds. Maybe I'll post something of that. So, oh, and Nikki, you said something about me seeming subdued in my videos, and partially that's because I was in the house with Deb and Earl and their kids, and you know, I just am less comfortable around them, so I tend to be less effusive making videos. So, I hope you're having a great time in Hawaii. I hope you make some videos and post them. And until I talk to you guys again, see ya.